Hey guys, Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness on this terrific Tuesday here in Connecticut. Life's good, man. Life is good. I have played a little bit. I want to get right to this. You saw the thumbnail. Documentary. Guys, it's terrific. Absolutely terrific. Anyway, let me honk a little bit and we'll get to it. There you got it. My Doc Severinsen Getzen Eterna Severinsen model. Circa 1970. Man. And as you see, can you see? The brace is off. It has to be soldered. See that difference? You know I wasn't using any pressure or I would have straightened this thing out. Anyway, guys, uber thanks to a handful of my buddies out there, my YouTube buddies, that turned me on to this documentary. I didn't have a chance to get to it until this morning. I watched the first 5 minutes, and I said, I got to do a video about it. I probably should have waited to see the end of it. But Doc, D-O-C, Umentary. Never too late. Here's what you do. You Google that capital D-O-C, Umentary, Documentary, PBS. It's on PBS, and it's Never Too Late is the name of it. Okay? Now, as again, I just watched, it's about an hour and 23 minutes, something like that. And I watched the first 5, and I can't wait to watch the rest of the hour and 18. Now, anybody that's been following this video, this channel, knows that I think Doc, I can't hold any of them in higher esteem than this guy. He's 93 years old, man, and he is still practicing and sounding great. 93 years old. Guys, I plan to be doing the exact same thing when I'm 93. A different format. I'll be making these. Who knows what YouTube is in, what's that, 28 years? No, 24 years, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter how many years. But guys, once a trumpet junkie, always a trumpet junkie. And this guy, man, has been doing it since he was 12 years old. And now I am not going to knock the fact that he has no talent. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think he's a very, very bright, talented guy. But I want to emphasize for my being, okay? For my purposes, the thing that just stuns me is the volume of work that this guy put in on the trumpet. He just willed himself to be a great trumpet player. The value of hard work, the value of talent, I mean, just extraordinary what this guy has done for a very, very long time. Now, I talked about this in the video. Back then, guys, we had 3 channels. We had no cable. We had no social media. We had no, DVDs to tape it or anything, man. Doc was the king. Doc was the king trumpet player because he had the most visible trumpet job maybe in the history of music. Okay? Leading that Tonight Show band, which The band itself was just monsters of monsters. We're talking, the trumpet section was the Condoli brothers, Snooky Young. The lead player for the longest time was John Ordino. Alan Vazzuti was a sub. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, Ernie Watts. I mean, geez, just the greatest band ever assembled with the most visible trumpet player that we ever had. Now, that job so easily could have gone to Herb Alpert. I'm not knocking Herb Alpert. It could have gone to so many other people. But luckily for us as trumpet players, it went to such a diligent, amazingly hardworking and talented musician that put the right message out there. Guys, that if you work hard enough and you keep going, man, it can be done. The mere force of his will. Now, I'll tell you what, man, I made no bones about it on my other doc videos. I do think he was too tight, and I do think he was working too hard. And if you look at the chops, yes, at this point, 90 years old, they're mangled. There's no question. But guys, he still did it. He still did it. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. And, I mean, what can you say? What can you say? Now, I have a story, and I've told it before, but I love this story. It was back when I was playing full-time in New York. And I was playing with my brass quintet. Now, I've told you about this brass quintet. It was maybe one of the brass quintets in the world. I give you names, but it was freelance guys. It wasn't stars. We were doing jobs. We weren't concertizing. So it was a whole different thing altogether. But when we were working for Trump, we were the absolute darling of high society. We had every little cocktail hour in a Park Avenue and every little grand opening. Anyway, we were playing a grand opening at the Plaza Hotel of a Ralph Lauren, new Ralph Lauren line. And anybody was there. Trump was there, he owned the place. Mayor Koch. I mean, Christy Brinkley, supermodels everywhere. Of course, it's a Ralph Lauren line, so the models themselves were there. Everybody was there. Anyway, we were there to play the cocktail hour. Nobody's listening to us. Everybody's, and we're just playing our, Gabrielli and all this sort of stuff. And I'll never forget it. We're playing, I believe it was Bangle Sangaleader. And, we're doing, 40-minute sets, 10-minute break, and then all this sort of stuff. It was a gig, okay? And I'm just zoning out, playing Bangle Sangaleader for like the 10,000th time. And we're in the little horseshoe, and I'm overlooking my second trumpet player. I'm sort of gazing off into the distance, and over my second trumpet player's shoulder is this little short guy with a mustache, big smile on his face, nodding his head, yeah, baby. And I tuned into it because he was moving so much and obviously paying attention. It's Doc Severinsen. I couldn't cut us off fast enough. Guys, stop. It's freaking Doc. We all went over, introduced ourselves, blah, 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 blah. I guarantee, guys, I can't make this up. The first thing he said to us, guys, you sound great. And he looked right at me and he says, what mouthpiece are you using? I swear to God. I swear to God. And we're talking shop, we're talking C trumpets with everybody, not just me. Couldn't have been more cordial and polite. And right in the middle of his sentence, I said, excuse me, Mr. Sever, but I got to tell you, you've been my idol since I've been 12 years old. And he just blushed and he goes, man, you should have seen your idol this afternoon. He says, I'm coming out here because he invested in the Ralph Lauren line. So he was coming out. They wanted the investor there. Okay? So he says, I like my 3 hours a day. And I'm coming out on the plane. And he says, I couldn't practice. So I go to the hotel, and he was staying at the Plaza. And he says, I can't practice in a room. He says, so I noodled around just a couple notes. And he says, geez, it felt great. I go to bed. I could actually sleep because I thought I'm all right. Okay? I wake up the morning before I'm going to this recording. Actually, I left that out. Okay? His agent got him a recording of a soundtrack in New York the day he was there. He says, you might as well make a few bucks while you're there, okay? So he took it, okay? So he warms up the morning of the gig. And geez, he says, I just played a few notes, but it felt really good. He says, I thought I dodged a bullet. I get to the gig, he says, I had nothing. And we all go, yeah. And he says, no, you don't understand. I had nothing. And he said, I felt like a fool. He said, everybody that was anybody in New York is at that gig. Bernie Glow, John Faddis, Lou Marini. I mean, he just named off names, right? He says, I felt like a fool. He says, anyway, he says, and this is the kicker. He says, I am so sick and tired about waking up in the morning and worrying about this little piece of skin right underneath my nose. But the cool thing was, this trumpet nerd, that's all he is a glorified trumpet nerd, just couldn't wait to talk shop among this glitterati of all high society. Couldn't wait to talk shop and find a sympathetic ear to moan and groan about his chops. I just thought that was the most extraordinary thing. And I'm going to do more videos on Doc. There's no question. But give me your comments and criticism. I'm sure everybody has some sort of a story, how they inspired him and all that sort of stuff. But Doc, God bless you. Honest to God, God bless you and thank you. Anyway, eat and drink fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. Love you all.